In this chapter of One Piece, Chapter 1160, we have the God Valley incident officially beginning with Dragon's defining moment, the Davy Clan's tragic presentation, and all the legendary powers finally converging on this cursed island. The cover page features Yamato standing at the hall enshrining Odin and his comrades, overlooking the flower capital in what's titled Oni Child Yamato and the Holy Inari Shrine, Pilgrimage Volume 42. The chapter opens with the Master of Ceremonies introducing the grand prizes for the hunt, 9 members of the Davy clan. Right there in the center, we see young Marshall D. Teach as a terrified child clinging to his mother for protection. This is the very first time we've seen Blackbeard's mother, and she looks remarkably similar to Robin or Nico Olvia, though her hair is completely disheveled from the obvious trauma they've endured. The Celestial Dragons completely lose control when they see the Davy clan. They start hurling knives, axes, daggers, and even treasure chests at the chained prisoners while screaming that they're a despised lineage and have been hated since their ancestors' time. They declare it's too dangerous to allow them to live. But here's the line that changes everything. One world noble specifically shouts, asking if they're buccaneers too. This creates this massive contradiction with Saturn's statement that Kuma was the last survivor of the extinct buccaneer people. The most logical explanation is that the Davy clan represents a specific branch or subset of the buccaneer race. Maybe they were buccaneers who sided with the 20 Kingdoms during the Void Century War and afterward were branded as traitors, a despised lineage, while the main buccaneer line was systematically exterminated for their loyalty to the ancient kingdom. This would explain why Rox doesn't have Kuma's massive build while still possessing that special bloodline Saturn mentioned. What's absolutely heartbreaking is watching young Teach's terror. His mother is desperately trying to shield him from the flying weapons while he clings to her with this hollow, frightened stare. This could explain so much about Blackbeard's later psychology. His inability to sleep might not just be his unusual body, but psychological scars from watching his family hunted like animals. It also sets up his philosophy of betraying before being betrayed, since he's witnessing the absolute worst of human nature at such a young age. St. Figurlin Garling appears in conversation with Saturn, discussing how this is quite the find and crediting fate for it. Then we get that chilling announcement about introducing the favorites for the individual competition, treating human lives like they're discussing racehorses. We get these emotional scenes with Dragon and the red-haired woman from the previous chapter. She's saying it's too late for her but wants her little ones to be raised properly, begging not to hand them over to him, meaning Garling, and pleading that they be raised by someone with a warm heart. This sets up the entire tragedy of how Shanks and Shamrock will be separated. Dragon takes the children and runs, saying to himself, "You and your children may be strangers to me, but I want to help. If I can't do that much, then I have no business standing here," while carrying those babies. Man, you can see the mentality of Dragon from this young age. While other Marines are just busy with orders, he's the real hero protecting people. The native hunting competition officially begins, and we see some of the darkest panels Oda has ever drawn. 150 rare rabbits to hunt down, plus 13 super rare ones, each worth 10,000 points. The panic among the natives is gut-wrenching. Families are running frantically across badland terrain, and the Master of Ceremonies tells them there's only 1 hour left before the hunt begins, taunting, "Now run, little rabbits, and give us a good chase." Oh man, I don't know what to say about this panel. You can see the fear in the eyes of these people. One woman asks, "Is this a joke? Are they really gonna kill us?" Another man shouts that if they can hold out for 3 weeks, they'll make it, while others whisper that all they can do is run and find a good hiding spot somewhere. But their hope is quickly crushed as the Celestial Dragons descend. These Celestial Dragons have grinning helmet designs, and they're mounted on large bird-like creatures. They swoop down with rifles, laughing as they announce, "Let the hunt begin," with another Celestial Dragon searching for victims, asking, "Where are they?" We see this particularly disturbing sequence where a father behind a jagged rock whispers to his child, "Please don't cry," but then one of the Celestial Dragons finds them and the woman begs while clutching a baby, "Please spare our child," only to hear gunshots followed by a Celestial Dragon's cruel laughter. The brutality continues with scenes of people being cut down, families trying desperately to hide, and Celestial Dragons casually boasting about their kill streaks. In the home of the gods, the holy land of Mary Geoise, Celestial Dragons are watching the same event happening with excitement, listening to announcements that the Figurelands are in the lead, but the Bavette and Manmeyer families are hot on their tails. More family names are revealed here. Then we see Figurlin Garling killing a few with his sword while some Celestial Dragon nobles obsess over him. We see other Celestial Dragons discussing in the midst of all this who they bet on. One replies with a grin, House Shepherd for the clan contest and Gunko for the solos. The other tells him, It's your choice, but there's only one god steel among the knights, which in Japanese uses God's sword. We get the introduction of Saint Gunko of House Manmeyer, another member of the Knights of God. She's here with bandages over her eyes, wearing a military-style jacket, and she's controlling multiple arrow-like projectiles. The Master of Ceremonies announces she's scoring massive bonus points. Then we see some Marines discussing the prize of the tournament, saying, "Must be nice to be Saint Garling, knowing a beauty like her is gonna be his wife soon." Although I guess it's still all up in the air, while we see silent Shocky just sitting there. Next, we see Shepherd Summers kicking a tree that a little child has climbed up, telling him, "You climbed up pretty high. Hop on down. I laid out a nice thorny cushion for you." The child is crying, telling him to go away. His dad comes out of hiding, telling Summers to stop, but due to Summers' kick, the child starts to fall from the tree. His dad tells him, "Don't worry, I'll catch you, my son." While Summers watches all of this, saying, "Aw, how touching." Oh man, we need payback for this one for real. Either by Zoro or Sanji, he should get what he deserves. He's not sparing even a child. This is how the God's Knights treat children. This is some of the darkest material Oda has ever drawn, showing the true depths of the world government's evil. But here's where everything changes. We see young Monkey D. Dragon in his marine uniform watching this horror unfold. Through internal monologue, he reveals he previously tried to defy the Celestial Dragons by helping someone, but his entire platoon ended up executed as a result. This explains his internal conflict. He knows the cost of defying the system, but he simply cannot stand by and watch innocent people suffer. On the other side, we see Dragon's superior, whom Dragon asked in the previous chapter why they're killing civilians and who shut him up. Now he's asking, they were all present, I assume. Another Marine lies to his superior, "Naturally, sir," but while thinking, where did that Dragon kid go? Telling himself the Dragon didn't go meddling with what's happening on the island. Dragon witnesses this horror unfolding around him, sees Bartholomew Kuma and Ivankov in danger discussing their escape plan. A Celestial Dragon spots that Buccaneer brat worth 10,000 points, and raises his rifle to execute Kuma. Dragon draws his own weapon and shoots the world noble first. This single moment represents the birth of the Revolutionary Army. It's not an act of blind rage, it appears to be a calculated intervention, likely using tranquilizer rounds rather than live ammunition. The parallels to Luffy are incredible. Both father and son, at roughly the same age, took decisive action to protect innocent people from Celestial Dragon cruelty. This is clearly an inherited trait of the Monkey D family, an instinctual inability to tolerate absolute evil, regardless of the consequences. The chaos escalates dramatically with explosions off the East Coast and the arrival of the Rocks Pirates with their fleet of notorious pirates. We get this incredible page spread showing their fleet approaching with a distinctive Rocks flag, and Celestial Dragons panicking that notorious pirates are swarming them while there's no time to prepare. The Rocks Pirates group shot is absolutely spectacular. Rocks D. Zebek stands at the center, holding an ornate sword. Around him, we see young versions of future legends. Whitebeard with his signature crescent mustache and weapon, Big Mom with her wild grin and polka-dotted top with Napoleon, Kaido holding his massive spiked club, Captain John drinking from a bottle, Shiki with his determined expression, Silver Axe looking brutish, Gloriosa calm and confident, Stussy and Streusen with that confident smirk. Whitebeard calls out the checklist. They've got Shaki here along with Treasure and Devil Fruits. They need to work together for now and can't be killing each other over this stuff yet. Rocks lays down the law that they'll divide the booty once they're back, and there better not be any complaining. But being the Rocks pirates, they immediately start arguing. Barbel asks how they can share Shaki. Shiki insists she'll fall for whoever saves her. Kyo refuses to back down. Captain John suggests she'll love whoever hauls in the most treasure. Whitebeard says he's just there to save a friend, though he wouldn't complain if she fell for him. Stussy gets angry at these comments, telling him, "How could you say that, Newgate?" Gloriosa says, "If I save Shaki, Roger would be grateful, right?" Wow, she's like in a different universe, still thinking about Roger. Streusen mentions Ochoku didn't even leave the island and will probably ban him from the bar. Big Mom calls them all stupid, saying heaven and earth could flip and Shaki still wouldn't give any of them the time of day. Young Kaido asks Big Mom if she's going to save one of those devil fruits for him. This entire exchange perfectly captures why the Rocks pirates were doomed, despite their incredible individual power. They're held together by greed and self-interest rather than genuine bonds of loyalty or friendship. We get these intense naval battle scenes with ships ramming each other, cannon fire, and Rocks shouting for his crew to follow him as marine vessels buckle under the assault. Meanwhile, the town erupts in panic. Celestial Dragons are screaming that pirates are here and demanding to know what the Navy is doing. There are warnings that the West Coast is now a danger zone and orders to get the Celestial Dragons to the center of the island for protection, as the Roger pirates have docked at the western coast. In the quiet eye of the storm, we see the two red-haired infants together, somehow still sleeping peacefully. Dragon successfully rescues them. These are clearly Shanks and Shamrock, setting up the mystery of how they'll end up separated. Marines are panicking, asking, "Is this the end of the world? What is going on?" First Rox, now Roger. The narration says the Roger pirates have made landfall, and we get another spectacular page spread. Roger charges forward with that wild grin and his fist clenched, Rayleigh beside him with his blade. Roger says he's there to save Shocky and tells his crewmates that the others should focus on treasure since none of them stands a chance with her anyway, while Rayleigh behind him is grinning at his comment. The contrast with the Rox pirates couldn't be clearer. When faced with the same situation, Roger's crew ignores treasure entirely to prioritize their friend's safety, even trampling over their captain in their unified rush to rescue her. Garland glances at the chaos and admits the game is over. We finally get the full reveal of the Knights of God that the series has been building toward. It's this intimidating spread showing St. Figurlin Garling in the lead, flanked by a horned woman with sunglasses and a cigar, a hooded figure with twin muskets, a rose-badged officer with glasses, a composed woman in ornate military uniform, and behind them this massive horned beast that looks like a living mountain. The diversity of this group reveals something crucial about the world government's power structure. They're not just human supremacists, but elitist, incorporating the most powerful members of various races into their ruling class in exchange for absolute loyalty. This makes them far more complex and dangerous than a simple human-only organization. Orders ring out with icy clarity to pull Marines back and protect the nobles while pirates pour in from every shore. Warships commence retaliatory fire as the island quakes under the assault from all these legendary forces converging. One Marine says, "I think we are done for. Pirates keep coming one after another, we don't know their objective." Then the scene flips towards Garp, who picks up a cannonball and tells them, "I'm not going to stand by and watch while you dice up my troops like vegetables," while throwing the cannonball towards the island, which knocks out some of the pirates and gets attention from both Rox and Roger. The chapter culminates with Garp's dramatic arrival. His fleet appears on the horizon. He's here, his fist raised triumphantly as reinforcements finally arrive, while Marines weep with relief, crying out that they're saved, and the editor's note says, "The legends have assembled." But this heroic entrance raises deeply complex moral questions. Garp is arriving to fight pirates and protect Marines, which sounds noble on the surface. However, in the specific context of God Valley, his actions will functionally enable the Celestial Dragon's genocide to continue, and will ultimately result in their protection. The image of Marines cheering for their hero while he effectively shields the masterminds of a human hunting competition is deeply unsettling, with promises of a break next week. What makes this chapter so incredible is how it completely reframes the God Valley legend. For decades, it was portrayed as good Marines and pirates defeating evil pirates. Now we see the truth. It was a three-way battle where the supposed heroes were protecting genocidal maniacs from pirates trying to save their families and friends. Dragon's act of rebellion didn't just save Kuma, it fired the opening shot of a revolution that continues today. Every major character connection in the present stems from this chapter. Dragon saves Kuma, who later saves Luffy's crew. He rescues the twins, leading to Shanks inspiring Luffy's journey. His rebellion creates the revolutionary army that Sabo joins. The theory about the twins' separation makes perfect sense given what we see. Dragon, facing overwhelming odds from the God's Knights, likely hid the babies in separate treasure chests containing devil fruits. In the chaotic aftermath, one chest was recovered by the Roger pirates, while the other was found by world government forces, their destinies determined by pure chance. Young Blackbeard's trauma explains his entire worldview. Watching his family hunted like animals while the world's supposed heroes protect their tormentors sets up his philosophy of betraying before being betrayed. The terror in that child's eyes as weapons fly around him could be the source of his later insomnia. This chapter fundamentally changes how we understand One Piece. It's not just about pirates seeking treasure or Marines upholding justice. It's about cycles of oppression and resistance, about how individual acts of courage reshape the world, and about the complex moral choices that define heroes and villains. The God Valley incident has officially begun, and nothing will ever be the same.